YouTube, what's going on? I hope you enjoy this episode of Sleeve1080 Plays and Reviews. And if you do, don't forget to drop a like. And if you're new around here, subscribe with notifications on so you know every time I post a new video. Now, let's start the show. Video games. Video games have been a part of my life since, well, forever. What's the first video game I ever remember, you ask? Well, there was pinball machines and arcade games in the Little Italy Pizza Shop in Groveport, Ohio, where I was born. The Hart's Big Bear in Newark, Ohio, had a real Ghostbusters arcade. Here's a fun fact. Ghostbusters is actually the first movie I ever remember seeing as a kid, and still my favorite to this day. Listen. Do you smell something? Yeah, you do. It's pizza again. If you went to Pizza Hut in the 80s or 90s, you probably remember this. Every Pizza Hut had a tabletop Pac-Man machine. But we can't mention 80s, 90s, and pizza without mentioning the Ninja Turtles. That's right. They had their own video game, and it was one of the only arcades I ever beat. When I was 7, my family got our first in-home console, the NES. When I turned 9, I got a Game Boy. 11, the Sega Genesis. 12, the Game Gear. Yeah, Sega on the go. As long as you could afford the batteries it sucked through. At one point in time or another, I've pretty much owned all the major systems. Yeah, even some of the crappy ones. Like the Virtual Boy, its 3D blood red display was responsible for giving kids seizures and putting extreme strain on your retinas. What's not to love? When my brothers and I ever got in trouble, we would get grounded from video games. And this always seemed to happen at the worst unopportune time. Like when Max Payne just released, one of the craziest games of all time, or Bullet Time, and everything would just happen in slow motion. But was I gonna let a video game ban stop me? Heck no. I dug out the 13-inch colored TV from the basement, an extension cord. I waited till my parents were gone. I found the Xbox and I drug it into my closet. In the middle of the night, I'd flip that baby on. I played almost all of Max Payne from my bedroom closet. Sorry, Mom and Dad. Sometimes when I really want to feel nostalgic, I'll just go ahead and play from the closet, just like back in the day. Hold on, I almost beat this level! So yeah, if you grew up in the 80s or 90s, video games and the word nostalgia pretty much go hand in hand. But were these games really as good as we remember? Fortunately, there's someone who can answer that question. His name is James Rolfe, better known as the Angry Video Game Nerd. My favorite content creator of all time and a true inspiration to my channel. James has made it his life's mission to go back to the past and play all the shitty games that suck ass. If you want to take a stroll down video game memory lane for a brutally honest, foul-mouthed review of what these games were really like, look no further than the nerd. He'll be ready to kick back on the futon with a 6-pack of Rolling Rock and tell you like it is. With hundreds of episodes and reviews, a show that's spanned 15 seasons so far, a full-length feature film, and 3.5 million subscribers and growing on YouTube, it's safe to say, when it comes to classic video games, the nerd is the word. But he didn't stop there. That's right, you guessed it. He even has his own series of video games. Recently remastered and released for PlayStation, Xbox, Nintendo Switch, and Steam, the Angry Video Game Nerd 1 and 2 Deluxe is out now. And today, I'm going to summon my inner nerd and take you back to the future and play that game. Let's go. Alright, I'm ready to kick this game's ass. Yeah! The Angry Video Game Nerd 1 and 2 Deluxe is a remastered version of two previously released games, the Angry Video Game Nerd Adventures and the Angry Video Game Nerd Assimilation. with the addition of some brand new, never-before-released content in the form of a third game that is unlocked after completing the first 2 games. The third game is considerably smaller in size compared to the first 2 games, almost more of a bonus levels if you will, but the content is all brand new and is just as challenging as the first 2 games, if not even harder at times. All 3 games have a classic 2D side-scroller feel and pay homage to tons of classic video games, especially ones featured in the Angry Video Game Nerd episodes and the movie. In all 3 games, you take control of the nerd as your main character. Now that's a main character for a video game. Yeah! And right off the bat, the tutorial from the first game wastes no time to set the tone for these games while simultaneously teaching you the basics. And when I accidentally blasted away Naggy, the tutorial fairy AI, I knew this game was about to be a hoot. From the level select screens that remind you of Super Mario Bros. 3 and Mega Man, a nerd version of the pause menu, from the checkpoints being Nintendo toasters and your health bar being Rolling Rock. The Angry Video Game Nerd 1 and 2 Deluxe is an absolute must-play for Angry Video Game Nerd fans. Get ready to get your ass kicked. That's right, don't get fooled by the bright, colorful levels and cheerful game music, because this game is hard. I played through on the normal difficulty setting for this review and was surprisingly challenged. I almost couldn't beat the last level of the second game, so I could unlock the bonus third game. Anything past normal is going to be a challenge, and I couldn't imagine on playing on some of the harder difficulty settings. I'd rather have a buffalo take a diarrhea dump in my ear! In the first game, you'll unlock additional characters that have special abilities that you'll need to complete different parts of the levels. From the guitar guy that blasts sound waves from his guitar to take out bad guys, to Mike and his lightsaber. The nerd and his 3 friends are ready to jump, shoot, blast, and smash their way through the first game. The bosses at the end of each level are reimagined characters from original classic video games, highlighted in the Video Game Nerd series. Like this one. Look, it's Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Or this boss level from the Mandela Effect episode. It's the Berenstein Bears! Or is it Stain? Making it to these boss stages is a little reward in itself, by getting to see which characters and episodes they use for each level. The second game is a larger, harder, even more intense version of the first. Again, you play as the nerd, but this time instead of help from his friends, you'll be unlocking power-ups like the Power Glove, Zapper, and Power Pad, to name a few. And just when you're cruising along, smashing through levels, beating memorable bosses, they hit you with the second to last level of the second game. This level's Virtual Boy Red! Ugh. And if the Virtual Boy Red color palette isn't punishment enough, this baby is hard. And will leave you saying things like, "That's impossible! What were they thinking?" I can't beat this level. It's time to unlock the secret weapon. Yeah. It's on, game. Ugh. Unlock the last level. And if you manage to beat all the levels of the first 2 games, you unlock the Tower of Torment. And oh man, what's this game like? Well, to prevent spoilers, I'm going to torment you with not showing any game footage. Except that right there. Okay, fine, and that.
No, seriously, last one for real. If you want to know what happens, you're going to have to buy and play it yourself. And for only $15 US, I would highly recommend it. Whether you're a fan of the nerd, classic video games, or just looking for a fun 2D side-scroller to give you a challenge, the Angry Video Game Nerd 1 and 2 Deluxe delivers, and I'm proud and happy to own it in my collection. Oh, and just in case you were wondering.
Yes! I did it! I beat the game!
Thanks for watching this episode of Sleeve1080 Plays and Reviews. Until next time, I'm Sleeve1080. See ya!
Here's what I did to that game. No. It was more like this. Yeah!